Mosquito. I hear a bee. I can't believe I did that. No. Hey book lovers, I'm Elise and welcome to my summer camp themed reading vlog. In this vlog, I read 3 books that take place either in the woods or at a camp of some kind. The first of which was Small Game by Blair Braverman. This is a thriller and it's about a group of people who join this reality show very similar to Survivor, and they're dropped in the middle of nowhere and they are expected to survive in the wilderness. Well, something goes wrong and they are completely stranded and it becomes a true survival type situation. Book number 2 was Camp Damascus by Tingle, and this one was probably the least camp related book of this vlog, which is ironic because the name camp is literally in the name of the book. This one is a horror and it follows a girl who lives in a very, very religious town, and this town and the religious community within this town supports Camp Damascus, which is the most recommended gay conversion camp in the country, and it gets a little crazy. And the final book is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, and this one does take place at a summer camp on a lake, and it's about a girl who 15 years ago she attended the camp as a camper and 3 of her bunkmates disappeared. 15 years later, all 3 of these girls still have not been found. The camp closed that year. The owner of the camp has approached our main character and asked her to return to the camp as a counselor. I do go on a bit of an adventure in the beginning. My boyfriend Nick and I took my kids to Canada for the first time, and we stayed in a cabin on a lake, completely off the grid. Definitely an adventure. You'll see. Let's get into it. We are stopped in Sault Ste. Marie to get gas and some lunch, and it is cold up here. Mosquito. Hey guys, so we are at the cabin in Canada, and we got here probably about an hour ago at this point because we got here and, you know, got everything opened up. unpacked a little bit, set up our beds. So yeah, this is my first time here. Nick has been here tons. He comes here actually like once a year and has since he was, I don't know, like 8 years old or something. Yeah, it's so nice and it's right on a lake and it's really quiet. It's so beautiful. Actually, there's like a loon out over this way that I keep hearing making noises. So I don't know, it's so nice, so peaceful. I'm so excited that we get to be here for a couple nights. Overall, the trip took, not including stops, the trip took like 5 hours, I think, total. I just have you sitting on a wood pile right now. I don't have a tripod or anything, so I didn't like bring any of my normal filming stuff. So hopefully this is okay. And I'm kneeling in the like wet dirt mulch here. That's a little bit better, except the light's not good. I don't know. It'll have to do. Sorry, the light's not great. On the way here, I started reading Small Game by Blair Braverman. This is a newer book. It came out in November of 22. As of right now, I mean, I am probably about halfway at this point. I mean, nothing super exciting has really happened. I hear a bee. There's probably a lot of bugs in this wood pile. Oh my God. Look at this tree here. Sorry, this is a chaotic check-in. This book has one point of view, and that's Mara. She kind of grew up off the grid. Her parents are like crazy hippie people, like conspiracy theorist type people. Because she grew up that way, she was actually selected to be part of this teaching school, like survivalist teaching school. So that's what she's been doing for most of her adult life. Well, she gets the opportunity to audition for this survival-esque type reality show. She and like 4 other people, they're kind of dropped in the middle of nowhere. You know, their whole experience is filmed. And that's kind of the only thing that's really happened so far. There was more contestants, but one of them actually, like 3 nights in, ended up going home. He's like, I can't do this, I'm done. So he's gone home. So now it's Mara, Ashley, who she's like super inexperienced. She doesn't have any survival skills whatsoever. Do you hear that? What is that? Are those termites? I think there's definitely something chewing the wood. I probably really don't want to know how many bugs are over here. Mara is honestly the best off at this point just because she has so many survival skills. So yeah, like I said, nothing much has really happened at this point. I'm halfway through. I wouldn't say that I'm bored, but like I'm ready for something to happen. The summary says that at one point the cast wakes one morning to find something has gone horribly wrong. I'm assuming that's probably going to happen soon just because of how far I am into this. The atmosphere is pretty good. I mean, like I said, they're in the middle of nowhere. They're in the woods. They're by a lake. And so that's kind of my situation right now. We're in the middle of the woods, in the wilderness, right by a lake. So that's a pretty cool parallel. What is that? I don't know what that is. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. So I will give you more updates once I read more. You know what I was thinking? This would have actually been a perfect location to read The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I mean, I think in that book, like the other side of the lake was closer because that's pretty far away. Like I think if there was a house sitting right there, I don't think you'd be able to see into it very well. I was just sitting in the bug room, which is like right there, and looking out across the lake and kind of like how smoky it is. Well, not smoky, but like foggy. It reminded me of The House Across the Lake. So is Saturday. First morning here. I did not sleep well at all last night. I'm used to having really loud fans, like box fans, and we have battery operated fans that we brought. I'm winded. I just had to run up here. I need a bucket because Nick and my youngest E are fishing. They just got a fish, so we needed to get a bucket. Oh, you got the fish? Yep. Are you putting it in the bucket?
Yep.
Well, we might need to rinse the bucket, don't we?
Yeah, let's rinse it.
Okay, let's take it out to the water.
Yeah. Let's put it in the water.
So anyways, yeah, didn't sleep well last night, but everyone else did, so that's good. And we made breakfast, and now, like I said, the guys are fishing. Well, Nick and E are fishing, and then R and I are just kind of doing our own thing. We played horseshoes a little bit, and now he's drawing, and I'm probably gonna read. Hopefully. I read a little bit this morning because I actually woke up at like 6 and couldn't fall back to sleep. Everyone else was still sleeping. So I read for a little bit, but then I ended up going back to bed until like 9. We might have a little bit of fish to eat tonight. We're in the woods. We went on a ranger ride. There's this trail that leads to like a cliff kind of overlook type thing, looking at a river. So we parked the ranger and we walked back this trail and everything was going fine. And then I stepped on a stick and I rolled my ankle. It's all swollen. Nick had to run back and he's getting the ranger and he's going to try to, I think I was able to walk far enough that he can get the ranger back this far. So that's kind of where we're at. It's actually a really good parallel because in Small Games that I was reading earlier today, there was a section that some action is kind of starting to happen. Still not really as intriguing as I would have hoped. Definitely not super thrillery. Anyway, something happened. Somebody got hurt. So I feel like I'm really experiencing the great outdoors and the wilderness like a true survivalist. I don't know if you can hear the ranger, but they're coming. And now we're going back to the cabin so I can ice this. I can't believe I did that. Yep, so I'm sitting with my feet elevated. You can kind of see that is my good ankle. That's not so much my good ankle. It hurts quite a lot. It's very swollen. I tried walking it. So like at first, when it first happened, I was able to walk on it fine. I mean, not fine. Like Nick was helping me. I was able to put weight on it. And then like when we got back to the cabin and got inside, I was able to walk on it. We ended up seeing a bobcat out the back here by the lake. And so I hopped up to look at that and Nick took my phone and was able to video it. So you guys already saw. So I tried walking on it and yeah, it hurts. I've never broken anything. I possibly broke my pinky toe earlier this year because I stubbed it really bad on an ottoman, but I never had a doctor look at it or anything like that. So that's like the closest that I've ever been to potentially breaking a bone. There's no bruising. I don't see any black and blue. I don't know if that's a good thing. And we don't have any internet, so I can't look it up. This trip has been an adventure so far. I cannot believe I'm like 3/4 of the way through Small Game now at this point. So Nick and E just went off the dock to fish some more. R's inside with me. I'm hopefully going to sit here and finish this book before dinner. And I would like to start another one. Oh, also earlier when I was talking about the fish, when I had to get that bucket, I definitely said it was Saturday. It's Sunday.
shadow from a window pane.
It is Monday and we are packing up, getting ready to head back home. It's probably about noon right now. We had breakfast and got everything cleaned up and packed, and I still have to do packing. I've just been gimping around and trying to do the best that I can. Ankles is doing a little bit better today. Still no bruising or black and blue or anything. Just very swollen, very tight feeling. And I can't put weight on my heel, but if I kind of like walk on my tiptoes on my left foot, I can kind of hobble around a little bit. And there's a walking stick here that I've kind of been utilizing. So that's been helpful. I did finish small game this morning just before breakfast. I'm kind of stuck between like 3.5 and 4. 4 because I feel like for the most part I did enjoy the story, and this was honestly the perfect setting. And like I said, there was a lot that happened in this book that kind of ended up happening here with us. As far as, oh my god, go away. This bee won't leave me alone. Is it a bee? I don't know. Oh my I'm gonna hit you with my book.
Don't mess with bees, make me feel you.
That's really rude of a bee to follow me when I can't run away. There were just a lot of parallels that happened. Not that we were like stuck in the wilderness, but I mean, this is kind of a very off the grid kind of cabin. We can have power, but we have to use a generator. So for the most part, we're using like propane lighting and flashlights and whatnot. Overall, the story was pretty decent. Definitely, like I said, a survivalist story. These people that joined this reality show, very kind of similar to Survivor, something ends up happening and they get stranded by themselves, and it becomes a life or death survivalist type situation. A lot of things happen that do happen to people who get stranded in the wilderness. A lot of tough decisions were made, bonds were formed. It wrapped up pretty quickly, but in kind of a unique way. So when the ending was kind of first happening, I was a little irritated at how quickly it was wrapping up. And then they kind of said something at the very end that I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to sit on it for a day or so. So maybe when I do the final update, I can let you know if my rating changes. I think right now I'm going to do a 4. Definitely not like my favorite book of all time, but if you're looking to read something that will kind of put you in the middle of nowhere atmosphere wise, this would be a good choice. On the way home, I will be starting Camp Damascus, and that's a pretty short book. Hoping to finish it the entire ride home, but we shall see. Hello. It is now, what's today? Tuesday. We're back home. We got back home yesterday. Probably like 7-ish, I want to say. It was really rainy when we got back to town. I really like rainy, gray, dreary weather. Got back home. Nick helped me into the house. I had to lay down. My foot got so swollen from the car ride. I had it on ice while we were in the car, but I mean, sitting for 6 hours, it didn't like it. So by the time we got home, it was really, really swollen, and it was even a little bruising almost, but that's gone away now. I was able to get in and be seen this morning. So I had x-rays done, and thankfully x-rays are good. I have no broken bones, so that's great. But the doctor did say that it's a really bad sprain. He said it's going to be at least 6 to 8 weeks before I'm really back to normal, which is a bummer. But they got me in in like an air cast, or like an air brace. It's actually really comfortable and really kind of squishy. I'm able to walk a little bit more normally with it, which I'm thankful for, because before I was kind of like walking with most of my weight on my right leg and then just kind of like hobbling on my tiptoes of my left leg, which wasn't really working, and it felt very, very unsteady. So I've been kind of nervous that I was gonna like fall again. But with this air brace, I feel a lot more sturdy when I'm walking. And like I said, I can actually walk on the full of my foot and not just my tiptoes. I have today off work. I had already taken the day off because we weren't sure if we were going to come back Monday or Tuesday. But even if we came back Monday, I wanted to just have an extra day before having to go back to work. Plus that makes it a short week, which is nice. Stopped at Starbucks. Got a giant iced brown sugar oat milk shake and espresso. I haven't had real coffee in a few days. Oh, by the way, I did cut my hair. I don't know if you noticed, but my hair's been up this whole vlog, so you haven't been able to see. But I cut a good like 4 or 5 inches off. I actually did it myself. I haven't gone to the salon to get my hair done since, I don't know, it's been a couple years. So the last couple times that I've cut it, I did it myself. Just YouTube tutorials. It's not perfect, but it works. I did start Camp Damascus yesterday. I honestly did not get very far. We had like a more conversational ride home than we did on the way up there. So I didn't read quite as much in the car on the way back home, which is fine. It was nice. You guys, I'm so glad that I did not start this book when we were in Canada, in the middle of nowhere, in a dark cabin with no power, because it's kind of scary. It takes place in Montana, and this Camp Damascus, it's this like really popular, highly recommended gay conversion camp. We haven't gotten to that part yet, but it's been talked about a little bit. So we have the main character. Her name is Rose, and she's part of this community. It's a very, very religious community. And within this community, there's like this school that is really closely connected to the congregation there. And at this school, over the course of their schooling, they take 2 years off to go do like further religious studies. 1 year after like 5th grade and 1 year after 8th grade or something like that. So by the time that the students from this particular school are graduating, they're not 18, they're 20. So Rose is 20 and she's like a couple weeks out from graduation. In the beginning of the book, they're like cliff jumping. She's with a bunch of students and they're cliff jumping, and she kind of notices like before she jumps across the way, like across the river, there's this like woman, but she's not a woman. She's like terrifying. She's wearing like this random uniform, but she has like long dark hair. You can't see her pupils. Her eyes are just completely white, and like her teeth are like black. Oh my gosh. And like really abnormally long fingers. This book is kind of scary. It is a horror. And then, oh my gosh, and this all happens like within the first chapter, so I would not consider this to be spoilery at all. Well, on the cover of the book, you see this person with their mouth open and all these mayflies coming out of it. And that happens. So like after this cliff jumping excursion that she goes on with like all her friends, she goes back home and she's having dinner with her parents, and all of a sudden she just like throws up all of these mayflies. They just come flying out of her mouth, landing in her plate. And her parents are like, oh, you must have swallowed like mayfly larvae when you jumped into the river. What? No. So that happens, and then she starts seeing the woman that she saw across the river. She starts seeing her like in the house. I'm very glad that I did not get to this book when we were in Canada, because I might be a little spooked, to be honest with you. I'm gonna go home, and my plan is to finish that book today because it is a library book and it has to go back tomorrow. I'll check in with you later once I read some more Camp Damascus.
I've been giving you the worst of me. Now you wanna stay the night. Pretty how you work hard for me.
So I just finished this, and it was a lot different than I expected. While it did take place in Montana, in like for the most part pretty secluded wooded areas, I think a fairly small town, there wasn't too much of it that actually took place like at a camp or in the woods. Atmospherically though, there was a lot about Montana that was talked about as far as the wilderness and the landscape, so I do think it still qualifies as fitting the theme for this vlog, so that part is fine. It was definitely different than I expected. For one, I mean, it's called Camp Damascus. It doesn't really take place at Camp Damascus except for maybe like the last 40 pages or so. It's definitely a horror, so Lots of horrific things happened. Understandably, because Camp Damascus is a gay conversion camp, there's a lot of talk of religion. Like, that's a pretty main part to this book, is religion, specifically Christianity. And trigger warning, there is a lot of talk of demons and demonic possession. So heads up there if that's not your thing. This might be one to avoid. As far as my enjoyment of the story, it was pretty good. It definitely held my attention. I think I read it pretty quickly as, time would allow. I think what I had hoped to get out of Grady Hendrix is what I got out of Chuck Tingle. Definitely like more weird horror, and there are some things in here that are kind of laughable. So if you've read this, you'll understand, but Jake from State Farm, that's all I could picture. So honestly, I found that part kind of hilarious. I think I'm going to settle on a 4 for this one. And I know for small game, I was really kind of contemplating if I'm going to do a 3.5 or a 4. Wasn't really sure at the time. I think in my last update for it, I said probably a 4. Now that I've read this and I know that this is a 4, I am going to confirm small game as a 3.5. But this was my first Chuck Tingle, and I really enjoyed his writing. So I will definitely look into him further and see if there's anything else by him that I would like to read. Nick just got home from work a little bit ago. He actually just ran back out to go to the store down the road to grab us some sodas, but he got home and he grilled burgers for us so that I didn't have to stand in the kitchen with my leg. Very thankful for that. When he gets back, we're gonna have dinner and probably watch a movie on Netflix. Hey friends, it's been a couple days. It is now Friday. The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager was the last book in this vlog that I'm going to be reading. Haven't started it yet, but I'm gonna start it tonight, hopefully. Not hopefully. I'm sitting down right now to start it. I'm currently icing my ankle. It's doing okay. Still a little bit tender. I'm able to walk on it quite a bit better than I have been. But coming down the stairs just now, I don't know if I was going too fast or if I wasn't paying attention. I slipped somehow. And I kind of hurt my good foot, and then my bad foot, I bent it kind of funny and it didn't feel good. But luckily I was wearing my brace, so it would have been a lot worse if I wasn't wearing my brace, basically, because it would have had a lot more room to move in a bad way. Anyways, I sat down and I'm icing it now. Like I said, it is Friday and my kids are with their dad for their final week with him for the summer, because we do week on, week off in the summer. I'm gonna try to be productive. I do have the audiobook for this, which I'm thankful for because that will help me kind of stay on task. And actually, I think Nick is going downstate this weekend for some kind of music festival with his friends. So I will probably have a lot of quiet time to be able to read. Hopefully that's not too loud. I have like a fall ambiance going on. I did read a little bit last night of The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, and I'm liking it so far. I'm on chapter 2, but that's technically the 3rd chapter in the book because the first one is actually a bit of a flashback of the main character of when she's at this camp, this summer camp. It's talking about how she wakes up in the middle of the night and all the other girls from her cabin are gone and she can't find them, and she's wandering around the camp late at night trying to find them, and she can't, and she ends up freaking out. And then chapter 1 starts, she's now I think a fairly successful artist. She's done a whole series of paintings that are related to this event that took place when she was younger, when she was at this camp of these girls disappearing. But yeah, so chapter 1 starts out in an art gallery and people are loving her paintings. She ends up coming into contact with the owner of the camp, or her family is the owner of the camp, and that's kind of where it left off. The plan for today, my patio is a complete mess right now. We've had a couple storms blow through and my slider door was completely replaced. Because of all of that construction and the storms, the patio is a complete mess. But I want to sit out there and read today, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep reading the book via audiobook while I clean up the patio, and then I'll probably make myself a cup of tea or maybe just grab a kombucha and sit out there and read this afternoon.
Let's my PhD. I'm all that you need. Just give me those. I've been giving you the worst of me. Now you wanna stay the night. Pity how you work hard for me, but forgetting how to talk. No, I don't like no humble beach. Just go and suss it up. Now it's time to marinate. Right after we're done.
It is almost 3 o'clock. I've come inside. I'm gonna make some lunch and watch some Black Mirror. I finally started watching the new season. I'm now halfway through The Last Time I Lied. The camp atmosphere is really good. They're in the middle of the woods, they're by a lake, and we do have 2 different timelines now. So we have the present timeline where Emma has returned to the camp as a camp counselor, but then we also have 15 years ago when Emma was at the camp as a camper. I am enjoying it. It's going pretty quickly. I think the audiobook says I have about 2.5 hours left. Yeah, just under. So like 2 hours, 26 minutes left. I'm going to just rest for a bit. My ankle's really bothering me, and I had it propped up outside, but I think I need to put some ice on it. Hi, it's been a few days. I'm doing well. My ankle's doing better. It's still a little tender, but for the most part, I can walk on it okay. I also got my nose pierced today. This is actually my 4th time getting it pierced. I was looking at pictures of myself from 2019 and seeing myself with the gold hoop. I was like, that was so cute. I really miss it. And I've been feeling old lately. I'm sure having a busted ankle has not been helping. I have a stud right now, but once it heals, I will be putting the hoop back in. I did finish The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. I think overall I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. I did really like it. It held my attention for most of the book. I think I like stories like toxic friendships, especially with females, and how there's like one kind of queen bee who is really kind of terrible to everybody else, but everyone still loves her. I like stories like that. I don't know why. There's lots of like aspects to this book. There's thriller, there's mystery, there's a little bit of paranormal. It has a little bit of everything. There were some things that I didn't like very minor things that I didn't like, which is keeping it from being a 5-star for me. Overall, it was a good time, and every time I read, I didn't really want to put it down. I was kind of forced to put it down because I had to work or go to bed. And interestingly, one of the characters actually sprains her ankle. I feel a kinship to that character. As far as my Riley Sager rankings now, Home Before Dark is still number 1, but then between this one and The House Across the Lake, both are 4.5 stars. It's hard because this book held my attention throughout the entire book, but it was a lot more mild than The House Across the Lake, whereas The House Across the Lake, it lost me a little in the middle, but the ending slaps hard. They're tied. Honestly, I can't pick. So that is all 3 books completed. I think this vlog was a success. I will wrap everything up tomorrow. I actually have to film my intro for this vlog as well, which of course you've already seen. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Hi friends, welcome back. Let's go ahead and wrap up this reading vlog. As you saw, this vlog was quite the adventure. My family and I, we had a great time in Canada. I really enjoyed all 3 of these books. I think that they were a great pick because I wanted to focus on books set at a camp or had like a summer vibe, but more of a wilderness vibe. All 3 of them had that. Camp Damascus probably had it the least. One thing that I think was really interesting is that all 3 books I found that I related to in the moment. So Small Game was completely in the middle of nowhere, and that's the book that I was reading while we were in Canada. Camp Damascus, I guess having been to Montana is definitely big sky country, lots of wilderness, lots of land where there are absolutely no people. And then of course The Last Time I Lied, having taken place at a summer camp on a lake. Like I mentioned, one of the characters actually sprained her ankle, and I sprained my ankle when I was in Canada. I think the characters that I liked the most would definitely be in The Last Time I Lied because we really got to know Emma and the girls that she bunked with 15 years ago, as well as the girls that she was sharing a bunk with as a counselor. Small Game probably had the most unlikable characters. As far as atmosphere, honestly, I would say Small Game would win that category just because there was so much description about being in the woods and having to look for food, look for water, getting injured. That really kind of put you into the situation with the characters. As far as writing style goes, I think all 3 books books did really well. Camp Damascus, actually, that book, there was definitely a fear factor with it being a horror. I really felt that. And I think it really does take a certain skill, certain writing quality to be able to transfer that fear from the page to the reader. As far as overall experience while reading, Small Game probably my least favorite at a 3.5. Camp Damascus I rated 4 stars. I did enjoy my time reading that, but it was a little far-fetched for me. The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, I rated this 4.5, so this was the highest rated book in this vlog. And overall, I do think I enjoyed this one the most. It held my attention really well. I liked the dual timeline. I like the toxic friendship between younger girls, like usually late high school, early college. Also too, I did want to point out that there are some LGBT themes in both Small Game and Camp Damascus. Camp Damascus, pretty obvious because it's about a gay conversion camp, but it is not hating on the LGBT community. If anything, I think this book really shines a light on members of this community. By the end, it's more supportive than anything else, which I really appreciated. And then Small Game, there is some sapphic themes that take place. All right, friends, if you want to leave a comment and you don't know what to say, go ahead and leave a tree or a tent emoji just to let me know that you made it this far. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, bye.